Before we get started, let's get familiar with some of the features and parts of the carburetor. This is your typical 1406 600 CFM carburetor. We can tell that because right up front here, there is a 1406 right in the corner here. What that tells us is the part number, and we can look that up and that'll tell us what size the carburetor is. This is a 600 CFM with an electric choke. So we're just going to kind of go around the carburetor here and see everything. Now the throttle linkage over here, this will hook to your throttle cable or your throttle assembly in the car. This is the idle speed screw right here for your normal idle setting. Up underneath here, we have the high speed idle screw. And what that's for is setting the high speed, like in the choke in the morning, when it's running fast in the morning to warm the vehicle up. That's what this adjusts. We come back to the front. We have the air fuel mixture screws right here. And what these control is one side of the carburetor and the other side of the carburetor of the air fuel ratio. Only at an idle do these control. Anything above an idle, these don't work anymore. But this is what controls the air fuel mixture going into the motor just in an idle. The big port in the center right here is a manifold vacuum signal for your Pcv valve. We like to put it on the front of the carburetor here so it has easy access. We do have also a manifold vacuum port on the back of the carburetor. We also supply you with a plug for this, but this is also for like power brakes or anything like that. We don't recommend the back being used for Pcv valve. We'd rather have you use the front. So if you're only going to use a Pcv valve, we'll go ahead and plug this off. Go back up to the front. We also have two other vacuum ports on the front. This is a little bit slightly higher than this one. If you see the height difference, this one's up a little bit. This one's above the throttle plates. And what that means is this is ported, or what sometimes is called timed vacuum. Most distributor vacuum advances use ported or timed vacuum. So most of you would be plugging your distributor, if you use a vacuum advance, into this port right here. This one right over here is manifold vacuum. This would be used for your automatic transmission to go down to your modulator valve. If you don't have an automatic transmission, a lot of times that'll get plugged off. We'll come over to this side here. This is the electric choke assembly. And of course there's two electric fittings on there. One's a positive and one's a negative, which is just a ground. And then we have the fuel line. This is where the fuel inlet goes, right here. So you take your fuel line, plug it on there, and that comes from your fuel pump. Now this one comes straight out. We supply a straight fitting with most of our carburetors. We do offer what we call a banjo fitting. This is a 90-degree banjo fitting. And what this does, instead of the fuel line coming straight off, it'll come also down so you can route your fuel line up in a different way. We just offer unique things like this for different applications. Now also included with your carburetor should be a little plastic bag, and inside the bag should be an owner's manual. And this owner's manual has all kinds of tuning tips and calibration and pretty much all the information you need to know about your carburetor. Now mind you, our carburetors pretty much don't need anything right out of the box. They fit most applications and need minimal to no tuning at all. But just in case for performance reasons down the road or extra tuning that you want to do, all the information is inside the owner's manual. Also included in that same little bag, we have some vacuum fittings down here in case you got to tee off and go to other vacuum accessories. We have a plug in the back, a 1/4-inch pipe plug. That's for the back of the carburetor. If you don't need that vacuum port, go ahead and plug it off. We also have some vacuum plugs for the front. If you don't have an automatic transmission or you don't have vacuum advance, you can plug the vacuum ports off in the front. Being that's an electric choke, we supply you with a wire, the ground wire, and a hot lead to activate the electric choke. Of course, we also give you the ball linkage right here to go on your throttle linkage to hook up to certain types of throttle cables and throttle linkages. And then we also include the gaskets. We give you one for the top of the carburetor and one for the base plate for mounting. And then last but not least, we give you the little stud right here for your air cleaner. And you can just cut this to size and put your air cleaner on. Our carburetors, for the most part, come out of the box ready to go with little to no adjustment needed. But sometimes you run into applications where you do want some fine-tuning and some calibrating. And for that, we have a calibration kit. And this comes with all the necessary metering rods, jets, and springs. Gives you a chart up on top to see what springs and what metering rods and jets you can use. And of course, inside we have the metering rods and springs and jets. And if you look in your owner's manual, open this up, they give you charts inside here to show you which jets to use and which metering rods. So it's really simple. So when you're trying to do this kind of stuff, just refer to your owner's manual. And we have lots of information in there just on this.